Welcome to the Alumni Lounge. On today's episode, we've got Chris Dorsano, a creative director at True Focus Productions.
Hi, I'm Chris Dorsano, class of 2010 from LTHS, and I am a creative director at True Focus Productions. So I've never told this story anywhere else. My brother had a project he needed to do. I really just got to appreciate what LTHS has to offer there. And I never really took to heart of how much I should have been involved in the school more. You talk about it like it's some like crazy epic, experience you had.
How did you and I first get introduced?
Yeah, so the first time that I met you, Dave, it was pretty funny because it was on a truck shoot for a live band event, which I never liked bands.
Yeah.
I actually hated concerts. It was one of my least favorite things to do in my entire life. And I thought you were very displeased in it yourself, the way you were staring at the band and everything going on. I was like, yeah, this isn't like one of my favorite shoots either. And you just kind of like stared at me and didn't say much. And I was just like, yeah, he gets it. Like, this just isn't the best kind of shoot. And I totally created a story in my own head of what you were thinking. But I think it was that spark of that day that I started helping you, and I was trying to learn more about production. And you and I started talking about videos, and we started talking about like different things that were in the components of what LTTV was.
Mm.
And a spark came out of you that was very enlightening to me as someone who knew nothing about LTTV. You talked very highly of the program, of Bill, of the teacher who was the head of the program, Bill, and everything that you talked about, accordance to LTTV, you were excited about. And
Yeah.
that got me excited.
Yeah. How were you first introduced to LTTV?
Yeah, so that's an interesting story because I went to LTHS my entire 4 years of high school, and I had never heard of LTTV. When I went to the program directors and asked them, who specifically could I talk to about doing a program in video, they actually pointed me outside of LT to a program at Technology Center of DuPage. And so I actually went my senior year outside of LTHS, which I wouldn't have done. If I had known about LTTV, I would have been a part of it. But that being said, I went to film school, and I'm at film school, and part of the program was to do an internship. And my brother, who's 2 years younger than me, he was in LTTV's program for a couple of years, and he's like talking highly of the instructor there. He's like, yeah, this guy Bill, he's amazing. He's like one of the coolest teachers there. He lets us be creative with our craft. He's like, you really got to meet him, and one day, you might want to, do something with LTTV.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah. So years go by, and long story short, my brother had a project he needed to do for the program. And so part of the LTTV course is you make videos on your own outside of school. So he always asked me to like help him with his projects. Obviously, I'm going to film school. I could help him film. And this one particular time, he's like, "Oh no, Bill's like wants me to be on camera, or, like be the cameraman for this one." And so he needed an actor, and I don't act by any means. Like what you see is what you get. And I was asked to dress as a werewolf. So I've never told this story anywhere else. So this is the first time live that I'm telling the story.
Yeah.
I am dressed as a werewolf.
Okay.
And we are going to the cemetery to film a music video, he tells me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you're familiar with that cemetery and all of the horror stories that go with that area. There's a lot of haunted stories.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we get there. I pull up and we do all the scenes. And the last scene, he wanted me to take my car and place it at the center of this gravestone. And I light up the gravestone with my headlights on my car, and it's getting pretty dark. Well, we shouldn't have been there. It's just horrible. Like there's acorns all over the floor. There's the grass, and I'm in a werewolf suit with boots on. And he's like, "It's the last scene, I promise. Like you just have to run, jump over this tombstone, and then go at the camera and make a funny face." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, because we're gonna like freak out that I'm jumping at the camera." But yeah, that's fine. Let's do it. And so I play basketball. Like I have jumps. I can get up there. I'm like, I can jump over this tombstone, no problem. Not even hesitant to do it. I do a running start, and as I'm about to jump, I slip on an acorn.
Oh,
I'm tumbling forward, and the front of my foot hits the top of the tombstone, and I fumble forward, and my arm goes back, and it falls right next to my head onto my arm. Now, long story short, my brother pulls the tombstone off me. I had a broken humerus, went to the hospital, have a metal plate in my arm, yada, yada, yada. Fast forward about 6 months when I need that internship at college. I'm talking to my brother about, do they have any possibilities of me doing the program there? And he's like, yeah. He's like, Bill already wants to meet you. And I'm like, okay, well, I've already broken my arm for this course. The least he could do is give me an internship, right? So I go and I meet Bill,
mhm.
and he's just the most loving guy. I mean, he was so nurturing the way that he wanted to help me. He immediately, like, after meeting him, wanted to help me show how to create a website for promoting myself and
Mhm.
my projects. And he didn't even know who I was, but he like took me in like family the minute I met him. And that was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had with just anyone, any human being in general. So as I'm working with Bill over the course of the years, got to know him, got to love the program, got to participate in over 100 plus truck shoots with yourself
Mhm.
included. And I really just got to appreciate what LTHS has to offer there.
Oh yeah.
And it's just amazing the different cultures that are a part of the school. And I never really took to heart of how much I should have been involved in the school more.
Right.
And that's big advice I'd give to anyone who's a student there now is like join a club. Meet some people outside of the classroom. There are a lot of cool things going on there that people don't even realize are happening.
Mhm.
So take a hobby or an interest and give it a shot. Um, as I was going through LTHS in general, honestly, I felt like it was a college. The school itself is, not like any other high school, which I didn't even know.
Mhm.
It's your first time going to school. And the high schools that I've heard about from friends now, they're like, you talk about it like it's some like crazy epic, experience you had. Like, I don't think about my high school like that. And it's not just me. It's not just me. Like, if you drive around, even outside of the LT district,
Mhm.
you see people with the bumper stickers like 10 years later.
You see 'em
Like,
everywhere.
you just see them all.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I moved to an apartment in Lisle, which is completely out of district. And the guy down the block from me, a couple hallways over,
Mhm.
he's an LT alum from like the 70s, and he still wears his hat. He still wears
Mhm.
the hat, he still wears the shirt, he still talks about it like he was there last year. I'm like, there's something about this school that
Yeah.
it's a community that empowers people and gives them a sense of belonging. And it's not something that I've had anywhere else in my life. And I think Bill does that program justice by
Right.
continuing to do that. So yeah, just really cool experience so far outside of LTHS, and then also my time there as well.
How did you choose video as your career path?
Yeah, I mean, video production has always held a special place in my heart just because it's a way that I connected with my brother and my friends growing up. We always did Jackass videos and
Mhm.
Fear Factor videos, and just like any bunch of kids just goofing around. And we had an old family camera laying around, and I actually was always the camera person. I always had the camera in my hand. So like when I was thinking about what to do as a career, both my parents did what they loved as a career path. My dad was a painter; he loved painting. My mom had a daycare center; she
Mhm.
loved kids, and so they both gave me the same advice as any parent would do, is just to do what you love. So when I transitioned to choosing my career path, I loved basketball more than anything else as
Mm.
an activity. And I
Yeah.
said, how can I take two things that I love and make it just one? And very quickly, I realized that I wanted to go to school for film and I was really good at it. And so I wanted to pursue something that brought me that passion. So I always had in the back of my head that I would, after college, get a job for like the Bulls and be filming all the games and be, front row and center and be able to play on the court. And I had
Yeah.
this like whole, image of what that would look like. And I am so thankful for coming to LTTV as my first internship because after filming a few basketball games and having the camera on my shoulder and directing and trying all the different roles,
Yeah.
I did not like it. I did not like it one bit. It was one of those things where it's like you have to, until you try, you don't know.
Mhm.
And so we got to try so many different types of shoots at LTTV that LTHS puts on, for, soccer and volleyball and basketball and wrestling, you name it, they're
Yeah.
filming it.
Yeah.
So I really got to feel out, what I enjoyed the most. And so, yeah, it completely turned me off to that. But what inspired me differently was when we worked with businesses.
Mm.
And that was one of the things that I felt the most passionate about was telling stories through other people's businesses because of their passion for what they do. And so when Bill had a project for you and I for our startup company, True Focus, we decided to take on this client, and he was just trying to promote his attorney practice. And working with him, I felt so connected with him as a person, with his business, with his company.
Mhm.
I felt like a part of that team, but I don't like going to an office every single day and being part of that team. Like
Yeah.
to me, that is not, that's not what I see myself doing. I'm like, I can be a part of all of these companies
Mhm.
and just take their stories and showcase them to the best light that we possibly can. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, that's when Bill was like, you should pursue this. Like, this isn't what we do at LTTV, but you should pursue this. So being able to transition from going to this career path and not really thinking I was wanting to do one thing, but then coming on the side and actually knowing what I wanted to do, LTTV provided that for me. And so I'm just thankful to the program just for that.
Tell us a little bit about your role at True Focus Productions.
Yeah. So, Dave, as you know, that's a trick question because you don't
Because
just have one role.
yeah,
I really,
wear many hats.
I do. And
Mhm.
as you know, there's hats that I love and there's hats that I want to throw in the trash and never see again. And I think that goes for any job, right? And sometimes when you work for someone else, you really don't have a choice to not wear certain hats. And so it's been a blessing to have my own business and to choose, what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And then finding people to do the things that I don't. And I'm thankful that over the years, I'm able to do the different roles. So I was the editor, I was the sales guy, I was the creative director, I was the video guy, I was the event planner.
Mm.
There's all these different. I mean, I can't even name them all. If I tried, you could give me all day. I couldn't name them all.
Yeah.
Um, not only because they're just so unique, but also the different services we offered through the years have changed. So depending on the service we offered, there was different hats for every service.
Mhm.
Ducks and bunnies being one of them. A photo shoot that we used to do for the families local to LTHS and actually hosted that event at LT and donated to LT from that event. So there's all these different hats that have been worn through the years. But if I were to hold strong to one of them, I think the key one in my heart has always been the videographer or the
Mhm.
cinematographer. I call myself a creative director, but that's because it's part of the role of that.
Yeah.
I'm on the creative side. Um, all the other hats, I would be happy to pass on. I don't mind wearing them every now and then.
Yeah.
But just like LT had taught me from knowing what I wanted for my career path of working for the Bulls versus working with business owners,
Mhm.
my company's also taught me what in working with business owners do I want to be a part of and what don't I want to be a part of. Because you just can't do it all. You can't do it all forever. You will burn out. And if there's any advice I could give to anyone who's looking to start their own business, is to do it with someone that they love working with. And if you're looking to do it all on your own, it's only going to be so long before burnout happens. And
Yeah.
you have to do something that you're passionate about. Otherwise, yeah, it just won't continue
Just
to
do
go
something
good.
that you love,
For as long as you can. And
as long as it pays the bills. Too.
yeah, as long as it pays the bills as well. I think I'm a firm. So another thing that I think I should talk about is I have the mindset of I never have enough.
Mhm.
Growing up with the scarcity mindset,
Yeah.
I really just always feel like I had to keep pushing for more. I always feel like I have to like
Yeah.
even when there's enough, it's like, well, this could not last for that much longer. I
Yeah.
better keep going.
Yeah.
I better find some more jobs. I'm a strong believer in if it doesn't pay the bills, you do need to find something else to do. And sometimes that might be something you don't. But if you can be blessed enough to do something you love and get paid well for it, more power to you. But I think you do have to discipline yourself and put on those hats that you're just not going to want to put on.
What are your thoughts about Bill Allen?
Yeah, so Bill Allen, like I had mentioned earlier, the teacher of LTTV, he has this compassion for people, and heart sees heart, right? I also have that compassion for people, and I think that's the first thing that we connected on is we wanted to do our best in everything we did. And I see that play out now that I've known him for 10 plus years
Mhm.
in his family life, the way he takes care of his community, his the people at LT. I'm inspired by his work and what he does with the students.
Yeah.
I mean, he really is like the perfect example of do what you do well. And that's all he's ever done. I've never seen him any other way. I've seen him in the ups and the downs, but he always is doing whatever he can to support his family and to bring his best forth for the people that he's teaching. Yeah, he's a person that I look up to. I know a lot of people do. And there's a reason for that. He's a person that inspires the creative side of people. I think the role he is in is exactly the role that he should be in. I think God has led him exactly to the place that he needs to be. And when people are in the right roles in the right places around surrounded by the right people,
Mhm.
really amazing things can happen. And he's a perfect example of that.
Thanks for coming on the Alumni Lounge.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Did you have fun?
That was a blast.
Yeah. What was your favorite part?
I mean, it's always great to just reminisce on the past. All the good times.
All the good times.
All the good times.
Yeah. I get teared up just thinking about it. Well, I'll see you next time, where stories reside and memories collide. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, consider liking and subscribing to the Alumni Lounge, where stories collide and memories reside.